Hi guys, it's Crystal with Design Bundles, and today I'm going to share with you guys a beginner-friendly project for your Cricut Maker. Now today I'm using the Cricut Maker 3, but this would be the same concept if you were using the Cricut Explorer 3 because we are not using the mat. Now everything up until the point of not using a mat, everything will be exactly the same. So we're going to go ahead and create a sweatshirt. So I've got this nice sweatshirt here. We're going to add a design using heat transfer vinyl. Today we're going to be using Cricut's Smart Iron-On, so that way we can load it in the machine without a mat. So let's go ahead and head on over to designbundles.net, see which design we're going to use, and then go over to Cricut Design Space and get it uploaded and sized out. The design I'm using today is Grateful, Thankful, Blessed, and if you guys are a Plus member, it's only 1 credit right now. So this is over on designbundles.net. So all you're simply going to do is go ahead and click on it, then you're going to hit Confirm, Download Now, and then it's going to go straight to your computer. From here, you will double click on it, and then we're going to go ahead and head on over to Cricut Design Space. I'm going to go ahead and change it right away to the Cricut Maker 3 right up here on the left-hand side. From here, we're going to go ahead and go down here to Upload an image, Browse, and then we're going to search for that file. So what we're looking for is the SVG version of it, and then we're going to go ahead and hit Open. From here, you can rename this if you would like. At that point, once you're ready to go, you're going to click Upload, and it's going to send it over to your files. So now all we need to do is click on it, hit Insert Images, and then it's going to come right inside of Cricut Design Space. Now, like I said, you really want to focus on a file that is super easy to use. It's not going to have a lot of intricate design. This is going to be perfect. So what I'm simply going to do is come up here. I'm going to change my width to 10.5. And then over here on the right hand side, you're going to notice there's a few different layers. You can change these colors if you'd like. Highly recommend that you just go ahead and come right down here and hit Attach. So that way they all cut out in one piece. So next up, we are ready to go. We're going to go ahead and click on Make It. From here, we're going to go ahead and tell it that we want to cut without the mat. Now, if you were using a regular Cricut Maker, you would just cut on the mat. So I'm going to go ahead and come right down here. Because we are using HTV Iron-On, you definitely want to make sure you mirror your design, which is right here. You're going to click it and turn it on, and it's going to flip your design. From here, you can see that it's telling us we need to cut a 13 by 12.5 inch piece, but I can definitely change this. So I can say, okay, well, I'm going to cut it exactly 13 by 13. So that way the machine will know that. So now we're going to go ahead and hit Continue. It's going to choose our machine, and I'm going to choose Smart Iron-On, and now we're ready to cut it out. All right, so now we're ready to go. I have told the machine what material we are using. We're ready to go. So we're using the Cricut Smart Iron-On today. So we're going to go ahead and load this with the shiny side down. Make sure you load it with the 13-inch side that they've already, pre-cut here. And then we're just going to load it right underneath these white feet. And there's actually these sensors here that's going to tell us if we have enough material. So we're going to go ahead and push it right up to that bar like so, and then we're just going to hit the load button like that. And at that point, it's going to go ahead and pull it into the machine. So what it's going to do now is it's going to go ahead and pull it all the way through. It's measuring to make sure that we have enough. So we've told the machine that we put in a 13 by 13 piece, so it's just double checking that we do have enough material. Once it's done that, you're going to notice that the go is ready. It's going to flash, and we're going to hit it. And now it's going to go ahead and pull it in and cut it out for us. So as you guys can see here with the Cricut Maker, it's got some sound to it. So these sounds are completely normal. It definitely is a lot less quieter than other machines on the market. But I want to go ahead and point out that all of the sounds you're hearing now are completely normal. So what the machine is going to go ahead and do is it's going to go back and forth. You want to make sure there's enough room. So for example, with me, there's nothing behind it. You want enough room from the wall to give this space to kind of go in and out. Now, once again, if you guys are using the Maker that does not have this option, definitely just load your material onto the mat. Now, while this is cutting out, I highly recommend that you guys go ahead and preheat your heat press at this time. You definitely want to do it before you start your project because the heat press does take a little while to heat up. I've got mine set at 305 for 12 seconds. So between 305 to 12 to 15 seconds. If you're using a Cricut Easy Press, you would want it set at 320 for 30 seconds, and then you would want to flip it over and press again for 15 seconds once you peel off that carrier sheet. Now with the heat press, you definitely don't have to do that. I'm using a swing away today that is just like this, and like I said, we're already preheating that now. So now we're ready to unload. I'm going to go ahead and hit the unload button here. I'm going to go ahead and pull this out. So let me go ahead and get this machine out of our way. Now, something that I recommend for somebody that is new is to go back to your canvas. Just hit your canvas button, go back there so you can see what you're weeding out. Sometimes you get to weeding and you can't figure out which pieces you need to keep. I highly recommend you go back to your canvas and set this aside so you can see as you're weeding. So let's go ahead and cut this down. I'm going to go ahead and take a pair of scissors here, and I'm just going to go ahead and cut this down. So let me figure out where my line is. I'm just kind of getting it the light. If you kind of angle it a little bit, you can see where you need to cut. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and get that out of our way for a later project. All right, so now we're ready to weed it out. I'm going to go ahead and just get a corner going here. And then I'm just going to go ahead and weed everything. So you're going to always start with your big piece first. So just go ahead and peel as much as you can. If you feel overwhelmed, stop, tear it. So for example, I could take a pair of scissors here. I could stop, do this, and start over here. So if you feel like it's too much, don't feel, like you can't cut your pieces. So you can stop and then just cut your little pieces off and then keep going. Now, a little tip too, whenever you're new and you're weeding pieces and you accidentally weed out a piece, say for example, I wasn't supposed to weed this, you can definitely take your time and pop it back in place. That's why it's nice to have like a little, trash can like this beside you, because you can dump it out and definitely pull your pieces back out. Also, if you accidentally poke a hole in another piece, so say for example, I'm not weeding this and I accidentally poke a hole in it, smooth it out. When you go to press it, it's going to press and you're not even going to notice. So for your beginner projects, I highly recommend sticking with a single layer design. I wouldn't try to layer a bunch of stuff. If you overwhelm yourself for your first few projects, you're going to feel like you have failed when you have not. You just need to slow down, pick a single layer design, cut it out, and go from there. So as you guys can see, I'm starting with, just basic heat transfer vinyl, a nice smooth one. I would go here first and then work your way up to doing glitters and metallics and things like that. I definitely would not start off with a holographic or a metallic, as those sometimes have a little bit of trouble cutting out, and those settings you have to play around with. So you may get overwhelmed and think it's you when actually it's not. It's just that product. So I would definitely stay away from those for your first few projects. Now they are a ton of fun to use, but definitely get your first few projects in and then play around with that. Now, a few more things I would do is, if you're using adhesive vinyl for your first projects, I would stick away from round surfaces like wine glasses, for example. I would definitely do something like maybe adding your name on a tumbler or, putting a quote on a coffee mug. All right, so I think this is great. Everything looks good. I'm just double checking everything looks good. So here we have it. Now I'm going to go ahead and cut away the side here. I always like to cut off any excess bulk like this. Nothing super crazy, but just so I can see my design. One thing you want to do is fold it in half. This is how we're going to find the center of our design. I'm going to fold it inwards, just like so. And then we're going to get a crease. You don't need it all the way down, just right here at the top. And this is going to allow us to know right where the center of that design is. All right, so let's go ahead and set that out of our way, and let's get ready for our sweatshirt. Now for today, this is the sweatshirt I'm using. I love it, love the color, and you can definitely find sweatshirts locally, super cheap, and you can personalize them on your own. So the first thing that you want to actually do is pull out the moisture. You want to remove any sort of lint and pull out the moisture. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to load it on my heat press, just like so. And I want to press wherever my design's going to go. So wherever your design's going to go, that's the area that you need to press. We need to pull all of that moisture out. You want to press for around 5 to 10 seconds. This is not only going to pull out all of that moisture, this is also going to smooth out any sort of wrinkles as well. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and pop this open, and now we're ready to go. You can actually just go right here and add your design right on the press. So I'm going to go ahead and just line this up. So what you're going to do is you're lining it up right here with this neck tag. So I'm going to come down around 3 fingers just like this, and I'm lining it up with that crease mark just like so. Once I'm happy with it, I think it's right where it needs to be, I'm going to go ahead and close this just like so. Now, if you were using a Cricut Easy Press, like I said, I would do 320 for 30 seconds with medium pressure using the Cricut pad. All right, so 1 more second. Now, also keep in mind, whenever you're doing your projects, is it a cold pill? Is it a hot pill? You want to go ahead and make sure those settings. If you go to peel this and it seems like it's peeling up with you, then you need to let it cool down. You don't need to press it again. You simply just need to let it cool down. Another tip is if it's a cold peel, you can simply flip it upside down on your granite countertop, only if it's granite, and let it cool down just a little bit. So now this is a warm peel, so we're actually just ready to go. I'm going to get it out of corner and I'm going to peel it right up. And there you have it. How super cute is this? You've made your first project and it looks super expensive. So instead of paying all of that money and buying those expensive sweaters, you see a design you like, come check it out over on designbundles.net. I bet you we have the same file that you can find and you can definitely create your very own. Now keep in mind, if you guys are a Plus member, this is only 1 Plus credit and I'll have it linked down below. Hope you guys enjoyed this. I hope you found it helpful. If you did, please hit the like button down below and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one.